So we're doing the same thing we did in the video. We're repeating the same tweets again. Yeah, we've already seen this. I'm not comfortable with my personal information being speculated on publicly by my ex-girlfriend who is no longer in my life. But due to the constant posts Alice was making about me, I felt I was forced to correct this. I had no choice but to post my medical records. It was my only option. I had to post that I was an absolute mental freak, and then also I had to post that image of me poxed the f*** up as well. That was very important to the story. I mean, as you know, we covered the ImAllexx video the other day, the reaction to which is now up on the YouTube channel. If you wanted to see, that's in 2 parts because it was quite long, and I had a lot to say about it. Okay. Now, Alice tweeted out a few details and comments. And one of those comments was to prove that she had contacted the police about this. And the point that I was making when I was watching Alex's video is that although he wasn't contacted by the police, although there weren't charges filed, and although he wasn't prosecuted for a crime, I felt like he was being dishonest because he was trying to paint it that because, but like, you know, that meant that the police hadn't been contacted at all. And I didn't think that was the case. And it seemed to me like it was likely that Alice had probably contacted the police. And it was just one of those circumstances where, for whatever reason, they didn't pursue a case. And I think that, you know, I don't know if it's even that uncommon when it comes to these sorts of situations. You know, that the police don't move forward. And one of the things that came up was about this, this Clare's Law thing. Because he was saying that, well, in order to appear as part of Clare's Law, you need to have been prosecuted for a crime. And therefore, Alice is accusing me of being a convicted criminal. But that isn't true. I don't think he would necessarily appear under a Clare's Law search. But also, the idea that it's some sort of list is wrong as well. It's basically a means by which, if you're concerned about your partner engaging in potentially aggressive behavior, or any sort of behavior, you can contact your local police department, and they, if they feel it's necessary, can release information to you about reports, about charges without conviction, and other details the police may have that may enable you to establish if you think there's a legitimate concern of, you know, damage there or something, or harm. So it was quite disingenuous, I felt, the way it was presented, because it made it seem like Alice was saying more than she truly was, you know? Like, there isn't a list or a database that you can search. It's not like the sex offenders registry. You have to know the person, have a police interview, and be able to demonstrate that there's good cause for you to know that information. And if the police have got it, they may release it to you, you know? And so I think that, you know, obviously I've gave all my takes about the video. That particular point I felt was this initial effort to try and kind of poison the well, essentially. And it was quickly debunked by Alice releasing this info that showed that she had indeed contacted the police. Now, he responded to this in this document, and I think he responded to other things as well. So let's take a look and see what we think.
Off depressed people.
Shelbo is directly communicating with you via witchcraft right now. Did you receive the message? Wow.
I did. Thank you for the tip. So, here we go. Let's have a look. Let's bring this up real quick. Oh, but as always, guys, a man's life hangs in the balance. Welcome to another rate review. Okay. So, here's his response to this. So, this is Alice pointing out that she contacted the police, okay? So, crime reference, etc. And then obviously, you know, her stating things happened. And as with this whole situation, it's impossible for us to determine whether or not this definitively happened. All you can do is really, you know, have your perspective on it on the basis of what each side says. It's like it's a he said, she said situation, right? Now, what's interesting about this is that if you know how he responds to this, and I thought this might be the case, is he's got enough plausible deniability in there, but he didn't actually say conclusively she didn't contact the police. But he framed it in a way that because he wasn't contacted, it threw doubt on her claim that she'd contacted the police. And then the way he responds to this is quite interesting. So he says, oh wait, there's another tweet as well. Alice refuses to watch the video. Does Alice need to watch the video? Does Alice... Wait, what? I don't think Alice needs to watch the video necessarily. Yeah, if you go back and watch Alex's video, the whole point that he's making in regards to the police report is to suggest that she's a liar for making claims that he says would mean that he's a convicted criminal when he's not, when she was never saying that he was a convicted criminal. She said that if someone knows how to use Claire's law, then he would appear there, which isn't necessarily correct, but I don't think that's born out of, like, if anything, that would be born more out of not understanding exactly how Claire's law works, or thinking that one report would definitively be enough for that to justify them releasing information to a new partner, which isn't necessarily the case. Okay. All you've done is try to paint me out to be a liar instead of owning up to what you did and taking accountability, which I'm sure will work in your favour after I post the rest. So, he did apologise twice. I've counted I'm only 30 minutes in. She responded to this comment with, he apologised to you and the people he offended, not me, and this was my response video, but she deleted that comment, which is suspicious as heck. The fact I didn't even need to look for the clip, he just said it during my watch, naturally while she's out here saying he didn't do it at all. And this is apology number 3 I've counted. I'm not watching his monetized video on my abusive past relationship to count as apologies to me. I'm sorry. Okay. I just don't think Alice needs to watch the video. I don't think that's, you know. I guess what is the purpose of pointing this out of Alice refusing to watch the video? I don't really... Like, okay, yeah, fine. She doesn't want to watch the video. I don't know if she has to necessarily. Unless you're trying to point out that she's debunking something in it and she's not watched it. But in any case, the stories that are in this report have been fabricated as I've shown in my video. Alice falsely accused me of putting her to the ground and putting her in a headlock on the second day of living together in the report, despite her writing in the document that happened on the 4th. There is no evidence to back up these claims in Alice's story, as it is untrue, and I've addressed this in my video. So what's interesting here is he's trying to debunk the specific things that Alice said to the police. But that wasn't really the point of tweeting that out. The reason that was tweeted out is because Alex was claiming that Alice was a liar on the basis that she'd contacted the police because he hadn't been convicted of a crime or been contacted by the police himself. Right? So it's not about the content of that necessarily. The content of that and the report has already been litigated, discussed, and it's obviously a he said, she said situation. And we can't definitively determine what exactly happened. But the way he presented it was to paint her as a liar over the police aspect, when that wasn't the case. She had reported to the police. So this feels like a bit of a disingenuous move, making it out like it's actually about that primarily, when it's more so about the idea that she's reported it to the police when you were trying to act like she hadn't. So in any case, you know, yeah, I sure, you disagree and dispute the claim of what happened in these situations. That's fine. I don't care. I mean, to be honest with you, this idea whether it's monetized or not, I don't really care. I don't think it matters whether or not the video is monetized. You could argue it's a bit tasteless, maybe, to monetize a video of you responding to your allegations, but I don't really care one way or another. And I think later he shows that it's not monetized. So it doesn't, you know, this is a silly point anyway. This is like a, you know, a silly point. But I don't think that she has to watch the video necessarily. Anyway, I think he explains the other aspects here, so let's have a look. I never claimed Alice didn't file a report, as a police report could be filed on anyone at any time for any reason, whether what is claimed in the report is true or not. So, this is the plausible deniability aspect that I think is now being invoked. In that Alex is trying to say that, oh, well, I never said she didn't contact the police. See, that is technically true, but he did everything he could. He did everything that he could to suggest. He did everything that he could to suggest that Alice was being dishonest about communication with the police without explicitly saying she hasn't contacted the police. The way he painted it was statements she was making, he was stringing together to claim that she was being dishonest in regards to her own interactions with the police, and that wasn't the case. It was, yeah, of course, it was heavily implied. But he didn't say the words, she didn't contact the police. He just falsely claimed that she was accusing him of being a convicted criminal, which wasn't true, because you don't need to be a convicted criminal to appear on a request for information under Clare's law. And then there was another comment where someone said, did you press charges against him? And she said, I tried everything I could, yes. And people took that to mean she's saying that she pressed charges against him. But I think that was more so a comment to say, you know, I tried to do everything I could to get this guy taken down, essentially, you know? He still fumbled it, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It would not be possible for me to know at any point if this had happened because the report is not a proper investigation or a guilty verdict. All this video does is show that there wasn't an investigation. Well, that isn't necessarily true. That isn't necessarily true either. The police can conduct an investigation without talking to a party involved because the investigation could simply be a matter of looking at it and going, oh, we don't actually have enough to move forward with anything, so we're not going to bother. So I don't think you can really speak to as to whether or not there was an investigation, because if a police report gets filed, an investigation could be as simple as looking at it, determining there isn't a case, and then, you know, moving aside and not pursuing it, you know? But it is logged, yeah, exactly. And under Clare's law, the very fact that you've got a crime reported against you, even if nothing goes forward, could be disclosed. But again, I don't know how it works exactly. But I don't know if it would even be relevant. But I don't know. It could be, it could not. I'm not sure. It just seems like one report would seem an excessive reason to suggest to another party that, oh yes, you know, there's a risk of domestic violence because one person at one point submitted a police report, you know? Well, I'm not an expert. I've just read a bit about it. And it's just not true to say that you have to be convicted of a crime to be on Clare's law. It's not like the sex offenders registry or something like that, you know? And that no charges were pressed, which is what I corrected in my video, as Alice had posted that this was the case, which was untrue. Well, Alice had not posted that charges had been pressed. Someone had asked whether she'd pressed charges, and she said, I did everything I could, yes. So from Alice's perspective, she's referring to the fact that she contacted the police. Could she have been more clear? Certainly, sure. I agree. She could have been more clear about that. But Alex is trying to muddy the water and make it seem like there's more dishonesty at play over the legal stuff than I think there truly is. Yeah. At no point have I been approached by the police in any way, shape, or form. Yet Alice claims she had pressed charges against me and had done everything she could, despite now posting that she didn't, when she apparently had the option to take it further. Which once again is the point made in the video, as Alice has been claiming otherwise online, whilst also telling commentary channels the police had done nothing, despite now saying the police had given her the option to take this to court, which she now says she declined. Did she say that? Wait, when did that happen? What? I don't remember that. Was that in the video? Or is that just a comment about the pressing charges that he's relying on to make this point? In any case, he's not presented it here. At no point has this been consistent and the story has changed constantly. I don't think that's true. I think the story is fairly consistent. The only thing that maybe is inconsistent is the idea that she's not speaking about it because she's taken it to the police. But in terms of, you know, moving through the situation, it seems like she decided to report it to the police. And around that time, she felt like she'd done everything she could in terms of reporting it to the police, even though it hadn't gone further. And her understanding was that that sort of report could be flagged up under a Clare's Law request, which is true, but probably not likely. So, you know, I think, yeah, this is kind of scrambling. This is like just kind of scrambling around. Trying to justify what was to me quite clearly an effort to poison the well by misrepresenting the circumstances around this Clare's Law thing. You know, this is pretty weak. Pretty weak response to this, I'd say. And I think, you know, he could have maybe clarified or been a bit more upfront here, you know? Because he's trying to further paint her as, like, dishonest around the Clare's Law police stuff, which I just don't think is the case. Oh, here we go. This is the tweet here. Let's have a look. Okay, he obviously isn't innocent. I by no means condone any of the actions, but this just shows you reporting it and the police receiving your report. Doesn't necessarily mean anything came of the report you made. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd be a lot worse off now. Yeah, they didn't do anything. It came an option to take him to court, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have it in me. I figured talking about it here was enough. Okay. So this is inconsistent. I'm a bit confused about this point. It came an option to take him to court, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have it in me. How could you take someone to court? I don't see how they would offer to take it to court if they hadn't have even contacted the person in question. So yeah, this is a contradiction. This is a contradiction. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand. You know, you'd have being extremely generous, being exceptionally generous. This could be a misunderstanding of the legal system, but at that point, I feel that's too generous, and I feel like this is, you know, I need to see proof of this or something to back this up. You know. Maybe civil. Yeah, but with the police? I mean, possibly, maybe the police might say something like, look, we don't have enough here to secure a criminal conviction. There's not enough evidence to pursue a criminal conviction, but there is the option of a civil proceedings. Possibly, that's a possibility. But again, I need to see something to back that up. I wouldn't just accept that on its face because it's getting too muddled, and I think clarity would need to be proven there. You know? Yeah. That no, I wouldn't accept that on its face. Yeah, I'm not willing to grant that much grace on this. No. So that's an inconsistency, sure. I agree with that. But this here, in response to him claiming that the legal proceeding stuff was essentially nonsense. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so moving on. I did everything I could. Alice denies kicking me. Okay. Right. I didn't randomly start kicking you for no reason. If you can read, I said I didn't kick him and that I pushed him off me because I didn't want to be near him. He didn't add context onto why. Funny that. He said, I donkey kicked his head and neck. Where's the text of that? Nowhere. I'm 5'2". You think I can do that? So the donkey kick thing did seem unbelievable to me when I covered the video. Like donkey kick is when you're on all fours, like kicking hard backwards. That seemed unbelievable to me. But then, okay, I didn't randomly start kicking you for no reason. So she's framing a kick as a push. Yeah, I don't. No. I think there was kicking here. I think kicking was involved. I think Alex is likely overplaying the exact nature of the kicking. And I don't think it was just pushing him off. I think maybe she's interpreting it that way or framing it that way to make herself look better. But I don't see that as like pushing off. I don't think you can push someone off with your feet. Yeah, there's a disingenuousness, and I think Alice is probably, you know, obfuscating some level of her own behavior here. I don't think it's as simple as I was pushing him off me. I think there was some kicking involved. Yeah. This is the trouble with a lot of these stories, is that I don't think you're getting a straight answer from either side. And it is a classic case of like, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle with something like this, right? Was it some insane donkey kick smashing him in the back of the head? No.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off
Thank you for the
depressed
super
people?
chats. Yes, I've seen the response video. Thank you. Was it her simply pushing him away because she didn't want to be near him? Also, no. There probably was some aggressive kicking that occurred, but not to the level that he's presenting it. So, okay. So yeah, that is a denial of what I think probably happened. Some sort of kicking. Oh yeah, it's $3 and up for super chats to be read out, I'm afraid. I'm afraid it's $3 and up because I'm a grifter. Okay. Alice has gone on to post that she never kicked me, despite admitting to this in the very messages she is responding to. Is she admitting to it here? Yeah. I didn't just randomly start kicking you. I mean, she does seem to be admitting, you know, she's saying that I kicked... This is saying in as many words, I kicked you, but not without good reason. And then he frames it here and doesn't contest the framing beyond saying, yeah, that's pretty stupid. Yeah, she's saying it was
wonderful.
justified, exactly.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
$3. Wow.
Based, you're flexing. Thank you for the super chat. I'd kick him too. Have you seen his face? I don't think we should, like, you know, that is a literal reverse the roles moment, okay? I don't think that violence like this in any context is like something that's like, wow, he's got a bad face. I know you're probably joking around, but I don't know, man. Like, physicality is bad, even if you think the consequences are justified, right? It's always justified. Oh, also, I do think Alice raises another reasonable point here. Donkey kicked his head and neck. Where's the text of that? Well, yeah. It's not in the text messages. And I think it's not in the text messages because I don't think that happened. And I think that is an embellishment that Alex has introduced to the story, you know? Because if there had been more severe or egregious kicking happening like a donkey kick, I'm fairly certain that that would have been mentioned in the messages. That seems like a very odd omission to not be like, you just fucking kicked me in the back of the head or something. Do you know what I mean? You'd be a lot more aggressive in how you state it, you know? I think my best guess of this, they're in bed together. He's done something annoying or she's pissed off with him. So she gives him a couple of kicks to get out of the bed. Something like that, you know? Like on his side, legs there, kicking him on the back or something. That's my best guess of what happened here. Right? That's my kind of impression of it, you know? Yes, Alex, show us on the Barbie doll where Alice kicked you. Yes, exactly. Okay. So I'm willing to grant some kind of points, I guess, towards the idea that Alice is, I think, downplaying her actions. I'd agree with that. That's a fair comment. Okay. Alice has gone to post. She never kicked me, despite admitting this in the very messages she was responding to. Alice says that this is impossible because she is 5'2". I made it incredibly clear in the video that Alice refuses to watch and that we're both lying down in our bed. She had turned around, my back facing towards her, and began to kick me until I fell out of the bed. Alice says I didn't explain the context as to why she did this, but I did, and it's in the screenshots she replied to. It was due to my illness and being shirtless in bed. That fucking picture, dude. I think DK put it on the thumbnail of his, like, wretched skin condition. Totally poxed. He was totally fucking poxed. I complained about this happening on other occasions over text, which is also in my video. Alice says there is no text evidence of her kicking me, despite the screenshot she has responded to, clearly showing Alice to kicking me. Clearly showing Alice admitting to kicking me, and that she had reason for why she had done this, as it was due to me sleeping shirtless. Alice said, where's the text of that, despite once again responding to those very texts shown in my... Bro, he's repeating himself in this... What he's done... Bro, he's repeating himself here now. Yes, I agree. It's in the messages. Yes, I agree. I've already said that. Well, you don't need to repeat yourself so much. I've also shown a text of me complaining about this on iMessage at the time, which is in the video she refuses to watch. My text to Alice at 19:28. Alice calls into question there being no texts, despite that being untrue, yet has posted in a document and is in a police report that I dragged her, choked her and pulled her to the floor, which there is no text evidence for, as I've shown in my video. See, whilst this is true, as far as I remember, I don't think there's text evidence of this.
Okay, that's wonderful.
That goes both ways.
Make money off depressed people.
Wow, hey, wow, Chud, wow, how, wow, 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 you, wow, wow, wow.
Getting your money's worth. Thank you for the $3. Yeah, I mean, that swings both ways. Like, there's a lot of claim, like Alex, for example, claims that, you know, she repeatedly physically abused him, and there's nothing in the text messages to suggest that's the case. So it's like, you know, that point doesn't really favour either side. Like, you know, you could say the same with both people. Like, there's no text messages that confirm some of the key details. And, you know, I mean, you know, it's impossible. It's impossible to discern what happened in those private moments together. All you can really go off is what the messages say. And generally speaking, you know, if something isn't in the text message, I'm probably not going to accept it on its face. You know, it's the least convincing or believable aspects of the story, you know? Since posting these tweets, Alice deleted a reply where she said she hasn't fabricated anything when questioned on Twitter about inconsistencies in her story. Haven't fabricated one thing at all. And then the deletion. Okay. Alice also wrote in a report that I was harassing her despite me trying to end our relationship multiple times. Alice told the police I was harassing her by sending her letters and a bear, two things that she'd asked me to do, when she then used to build her story to the police and document. I've also shown this in my video. Alice saying she won't watch my video. Okay. So we're doing the same thing we did in the video. We're repeating the same tweets again. Yep, we've already seen this. We've already seen this because you linked it earlier in the document. Okay, thank you for that. I mean, yeah, I agree with this. I think that, yeah, there is... It does seem to me that she... It was came across as that very toxic dynamic of the two people wanting to get back together but being bad for each other and going on this like months-long cycle, like on and off again, but in an incredibly like toxic, harmful dynamic, something like that. So I think this is a fair comment. But again, the police thing is for me, it's not really about whether or not the story to the police is true. It's about, you know, has Alice fairly represented her claims in regards to the police? Whilst I disagree with some of her framing, I think that's less a product of her, you know... It seems like more of a misunderstanding of the legal process than anything else. The court thing does raise more questions for me, though. Anyway, continuing on. What else have we got? Alice has also made a post saying he got his diagnosis after we split and wasn't in contact anymore. Yep, that is true. That did happen. I mean, it happened in May, I think. Oh, no, when was it? I think it was after they split up. Or no, after the document came out, right? And not once did I manipulate him to stay with me. I 100% was toxic back after being in a relationship with the abuse I endured from this man for months on end. Should I have left sooner? Yes, but I was scared to. It took him being a physical a second time to do so. He did prove that you lied multiple times. For example, saying he didn't have BPD and that he wasn't diagnosed with it when he was. He got his diagnosis after we split and wasn't in contact anymore. No, he didn't. The date is on the doctor's letter, which is in the video that you haven't watched. We stopped contact in May, so yes, he did. Okay. I made it clear in the video that I was not diagnosed at the time and that Alice was spreading false information which I had to correct publicly as it is not true. Okay. I'm getting a bit confused now with this. Because my understanding of it is that Alice was making public statements about him not having BPD, but she could not have reasonably known at the time that he had BPD because this diagnosis occurred after they'd split up. Because how could he have known that he had BPD without a diagnosis? Unless he was self-diagnosed, maybe. Okay. I'm not comfortable with my personal information being speculated on publicly by my ex-girlfriend who is no longer in my life. But due to the constant posts Alice was making about me, I felt I was forced to correct this. There was so much misinformation about me. I had no choice but to post my medical records. It was my only option. I had to post that I was an absolute mental freak. And then also I had to post that image of me poxed the fuck up as well. That was very important to the story. I mean, I don't think he necessarily needed to do that. I think that is a cope. I think it's this like sad boy pussy cope that he had to reveal his gigapox state. He didn't need to do that, you know? You could have responded to everything without... It's the classic thing of like, you're making me leak this, you're making me leak this. But really, it's just you're kind of weaponizing that in some way. Like, you're not forced to leak that. You don't have to talk about any of that at all. You know? It's like the classic move, isn't it? Of like revealing your utterly raped status because the person has said something about you. No, you don't need to do that. Poxed up pity. Yes, poxed up pity. That's a good way of putting it. Okay. And then he references his video, which is the tweets. Regardless, this isn't an excuse for my behavior, which I made clear in the video and in my psychiatric document, where I openly discussed being verbally abusive towards her with my psychiatrist. I apologized many times privately to Alice for how unacceptable it was, which could be seen throughout the video, as I just tried to sort this out privately on many occasions. I am deeply sorry for things turning out this way. It is my responsibility to be better. Oh! Yeah, I mean, there's people that say he doesn't address like the brick thing, for example. I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, he doesn't play it and doesn't quote what he said. But he does speak about how his conduct is unacceptable. But this is a very typical example of like, well, you've kind of made your own bed, bro. You've kind of made your own bed in terms of how you've gone after others. So I don't really have much sympathy for that, you know? It's the classic thing of going so hard at others for things that you yourself are doing in terms of, you know, engaging that, you know, abusive language. And it's why, yeah, it's just, you know, you just kind of fucked yourself over at that point, really. But, I mean, dude, someone said it earlier. Yes, exactly. It's the Keffel's I've been raped response to Xanderhall. Yes, exactly. So, you know, there's a couple of comments that get made that you could easily ignore. But because you are like hyper obsessing over everything that they're saying about you, You get to the point where you feel you got to reveal things that you don't really, in order to like debunk things that no one really cares or is talking about. And that is, I think, an effort to engage in some level of like self-victimization. Look at what you're making me reveal. I'm a raped, poxed individual and you've made me reveal it. Okay. Alice has since posted, I guess it's round 2, but this is not a situation that I take lightly, and I have no interest in continuing this any further publicly after this post. I have read the many comments about how this should have been sorted appropriately and privately, and I agree. I only made my response because I was forced to, due to the constant lies that were posted about me, and still being posted about me to this day, I had not responded to for the last year. Okay, this is cope. The reason you're responding is because you're trying to kind of clear your name before making some sort of return to YouTube, I'm guessing. I don't think it's because of the constant lies about you, right? Otherwise, why didn't you like say anything before this? Why didn't you make any comment? Like, this guy literally disappeared for nearly a year. So it just feels like you're not being fully honest with us there, that it's just about the lies. I can understand feeling that there are, you know, issues and things you want to correct. That's fine. But why have you not said anything for nearly a year? Well, it's probably both, but he's not saying it's both, is he? He's saying it's for one thing, when I think there's clearly a motive here to put out a video in order to kind of cleanse your reputation, presumably for some sort of return. Like rent is due or something. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. And we got the round 2 tweet here. Are you going to do a full response breaking down all his lies in the video? Yeah, I mean, he's manipulated this to make me out to be a liar, so I guess it's round 2. This is so traumatic for me, so I might just do a stream and call it a day. I mean, if this is traumatic, what difference does it make doing a stream? I mean, this feels like bullshit cope to me. I don't think this is like preventing you from doing, like, nah, I don't buy this. If this is so traumatic, you just move on and call it a day, and that would be that. And also, a stream is a terrible idea. Time investment. Yeah, but you need to prepare for this regardless of how you do it, right? Like, what are you going to do? Do a stream and just say a bunch of shit? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to need to prepare some information and evidence anyway. So you might as well just do a pre-recorded video. So yeah, I don't really buy this. This feels a bit like bullshit to me. And I don't really understand how a stream makes it better. And at this point, honestly, if I was in Alice's position, like, just walk away. Just walk away. I mean, what benefit is there to gain from endlessly circling the drain on this? Obviously, from my perspective, if she does a response, that's more content. So I'm like, yeah, full steam ahead. Go for it. Go crazy. But on a genuine kind of level and perspective, it's like, why? Why would you bother? Like, just leave it at that. You know? Yeah. Okay. Alice had planned this document since January and has been blackmailing me throughout our relationship with my reactions to her physical abuse, as I showed in my video. Alice always intended to publicize a false version of an incredibly toxic and abusive relationship, and I apologize for my involvement in that, as it could have been prevented, and there is no excuse for how I reacted to the environment that was created. Planning a document in advance. Okay. I mean, yeah, this is a point that he made in the video. And whilst I think that he's painting a further extremity on it, I don't know if it's like, because he seemed to suggest that there was a longer period of time that she was planning this. I do think that it's true that she was collecting evidence from at least as early as January. I think that's pretty uncontroversial because she stated as much. But I guess, again, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you've made that point in your video. So I don't really understand the purpose of stating it again. It just feels like maybe like reiterating your strongest points. But then why not mention the fucking fact that she followed his rapist? That was your golden point. That was your best point against her. Bring that up again, if anything. Like, how does this respond to this? I don't really understand what this has got to do with this concept here. But anyway. As shown in my video, Alice would go through my phone throughout our entire relationship, which prevented me from being able to speak to anyone or record any of the events that transpired when I tried to leave. I should have done more to end our relationship at the time and regret allowing it to get the point in which it did. Okay. Prevented me from able to speak to anyone or record any of the events that transpired when I tried to leave. Okay, I mean, really? Really? You couldn't speak to anyone or record any of the events? It feels like he's preloading a potential excuse for further information Alice may have that she's not yet released. That she's going to present evidence in regards to how the relationship ended. And he's going to be like, oh, well, I didn't have access to my phone and couldn't speak to anyone, so there's no evidence on my side. You know. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I'll have to wait and see if that comes to pass, but it just feels like he's trying to get ahead of some more information that's going to come out. You know? Okay. Anyway, the monetized point was retarded. I didn't agree with the monetized point in the first place, but he proves here that it's not monetized. The video is not monetized by me, as I've made clear in the description and pinned comment. It was claimed due to the multiple TikTok lip sync videos Alice made about me and the abuse. Images attached below. So, yeah, that's fine. I didn't think it was monetized anyway. Oh, look at that dislike ratio's rough, man. That's the actual live one as well, not the fake bullshit that you see. 50-50. It is literally 50-50. Okay, it has since been brought to my attention that Alice is deleting comments and has privated her Instagram and TikTok comment section due to the harassment online. I'd appreciate if people would not attack anyone I've mentioned, as that was not my intention when I posted the video, and I regret this has played out publicly. I would like to say thank you to those who have supported me through this time. It does not go unnoticed, and I greatly appreciate it. What is the point of all of this? I mean, I'm just, you know, there's a couple of points, like, maybe that I'm like, okay, that's fair. Clearing up there, clear it up there. The police thing, I think, is a lot of fucking cope and bullshit. One point made that was decent, which is about the court discrepancy of, like, her apparently being able to file in a court when that doesn't seem to be the case. That's fine to point out. This other stuff, sure, I think. I mean, I can understand, I guess, to a degree, wanting to clarify some of this stuff. But, I mean, a lot of it is just repeating stuff we already know from the video. Honestly, I think it would have been... Honestly, if I was Alex's PR guy, okay, I would just say to him, look, you've done the video. That's about as good as it's going to get in terms of a response. To both parties, I'd be telling them to fucking go on their separate ways. That would be my advice to both parties. You know, don't feel like you need to have the last word on this. This feels like, you know, we're continuing on this fucking insane relationship dynamic they've clearly got. Where it's like, now one of them feels like they need to have the last word on this. So now she wants to respond to have the last word. You know, she's made a bunch of claims. He's responded to the claims. The cards have fallen where they've fallen. Both parties are better off just fucking moving on with their lives at this point, you know? So yeah, I don't really understand why
Okay, that's wonderful.
each party
But how
feels
do
the
I
need
make
to continue
money
to try
off
and
depressed
fucking
people?
Do you
litigate
think
this
Alex
out.
will do an Amy King rape recreation?
Thank you for the super chat. I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we'll see what happens from here, but I don't think Alice should respond to this further. I just don't think it's worth it. You know, I think that Your best, yeah. Your best bet is, you know, she said a piece about the police thing. He's responded. I think it's quite weak, and I don't think people are going to buy it anyway. And there's a couple of points here that maybe if people are on the fence, they might think worse of Alice because of it. But generally speaking, people have kind of made their mind up about this. And I just don't think there's any value in continuing this on further. There is from a content perspective. If anything, I want them to keep fighting because the videos on the ImAllexx stuff have done quite well. But yeah, just go your separate ways, guys. Leave it at that. Just leave it at that. It's done. It's over. It can be over if you want it to be. You should read the Verdansk update. Well, I'm looking forward to that coming out. Yeah, I'm just a bit bemused. I'm a bit fucking bemused as to like what any of this does. Some of it is repetition, not just from the video, but within the document itself. And some of it doesn't really even meaningfully address or deal with anything that's being stated. I think it feels like Alex is just kind of like in a kind of desperate state, trying to spin out, you know, the best possible like win or something out of this, or trying to resolve it further or make it better for himself. Yeah, at this point, he should honestly just go back to making fucking videos and leave it at that. And then the people that are going to support him are going to support him. And the people that are, you know, put off by this are not going to support you anymore. And you're probably going to be able to continue on with a smaller audience. And that's about it, you know? Yeah, just post through it. Just post through it. He should have done this ages ago. He should have done this at the start. He should have put together his video within a week, 2 weeks. Put it out. This would have fucking hashed out within the weeks after that, and then that would be it. You just move on and keep making videos. Thank you for that. I can't see it, but whatever it is, I appreciate it. Was it a kick sub or something? Thank you. But yeah, I mean, unless something else happens, unless Alice does respond, I think that's probably it for this drama. I think that's probably it. But if you've got my if you want to see my full takes on the video, you can go and watch my reaction. It's quite long though, and it's split into 2 parts because I had a lot to say. I had a lot to say about it. But yeah, there we go.